Hello, I'm here today to show you how to make this thank you card. I use the Flourishing Phrases by Stampin' Up, of course. This stamp set has quite a few stamps in it, and we are going to utilize this flourish right here and this thank you. And then we're also going to utilize the framelits that come in the bundle. And we're going to use these three right here. And I got a chance to use our new platform along with the precision plate. And I have to say it works amazing. These things just popped right out. So we'll be using those today. And I'm going to jump right in because this is going to take a little bit. What we're going to do is we're going to be sponging. We're going to sponge all of this background and this overlay here. So let's get started. The colors we used are Dapper Denim, Flirty Flamingo, Sweet Sugar Plum, and Peekaboo Peach. And what I did is I made a template, and I'm going to hold it here for a second so that you guys can get a good look at it and be able to use it when you're making your card. I'm not very good at liking random, so I want my stuff to always come out just like this. If I make 10 cards, I want them to almost always look exactly the same. So in order to do that, I made this little template, and you can see here, these are the areas you will sponge and what colors, and you're going to want to do some blending in between, but that should help you with getting the same look that I did if you want that. So there's that one. And then here is the template for the top piece where you're going to put your saying. So there you go. There's those. So with that said, let's get started. I need to set my card up here so that I can use it. The first piece we're going to use is cut at 5 1/4 by 4. And I mentioned this previously in one of my other videos, but I cut stacks of these. I usually at the beginning of the week will cut a whole package of Whisper Wayt and have it come out to where I can have a whole stack and just grab them and go. Okay, let's see. And here are my sponges, and I have these in a little container where I just keep all of them, and I put a piece of the paper on them and a label so that I always know which color they go to, and I can reuse them. And so here we go. And my doorbell just rang, so if you hear that in the video, my husband's gonna get it. I don't have to get up. Okay, and with this this type of smooth sponging, you're going to want to be sure you go very light-handed, and you do this in a circular motion, and I'll show you how I did that. And one thing I did find is you're going to want to move around. It's going to be hard for me because I have only so much space that'll show in my camera. But you're going to want to move around so that you're not going over a previous color, because with as much color as we're going to put down, you could potentially end up with some bleeding. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started. And I'm using this template again here to try to get the same look. It's never going to be exact, but this will help. So I'm actually going to start with this Sweet Sugar Plum down here in the corner. And you just tap into your ink. You don't have to rub, just tap a little bit. And then you're going to start out here in a circular motion and see how the ink is coming off on the paper there. And you just move towards your paper. This is going to give you a really soft color. And you will have to do this over and over, and it's easy to go back and put on color, but it is not easy to, you can't take off color. It's impossible. It's not easy. It's impossible. So just go ahead and do that. And what I did is I got it to where it was a light color, and then I went back in and I added a little bit more and a little bit more. And at first when I made this card, I was like, I'm not really sure about this, but my friend Natasha, who's also one of my downline, she told me just keep going with it and see where it goes, and I did that, and I'm really happy that I did. And you see there's no streaking, and you just get a nice soft color. It takes patience to do this type of sponging, but you get a beautiful result. Okay, so I've got my little corner started here. And I do these videos live for my team first, and then I upload them to YouTube, so that's why I only have a set amount of space. I don't have the recording equipment yet to do it in a widescreen format. So for now, this is what we get, and my team gets to see it first, and I'll probably keep it that way for a long time. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and go with the peach. The peach is actually coming down, and you can see it here. I kind of came down this way. And I did that in the template as well, so you can kind of see. But there is room right here for the denim. And what I did is I did my peach first, so then I knew how much space I had. And I kind of barely brought the blue down. And I'm going to flip my paper around to do this, because I'm going to start in this corner right here. And I moved away from this peach. By starting in a circular motion, I'm going very light, by the way. By doing this in a circular motion, starting on your paper first, you get that really soft look. And you can also go back later, and like I said before, you can add more if you like it really dark. It took me a while to get this technique down. I had to teach myself how to do the blending. So I just got some paper and just went to town, and it took me a good day to really get my own style down. And once I did, I just kind of went to town with it. You see how when I'm coming back onto the paper, it's making a nice pretty colored edge here, and it will get darker. So if it starts to get a little bit too dark for you, you can always turn it and come up the other way. But you always want to come into your paper instead of just starting right here and going around in circles, because you'll get those little streaks. There's no fast forward on this video, folks. Of course, once it's recorded up to YouTube, you'll be able to fast forward me. I'm going to go ahead and turn this just a little bit and come in and get some color on the edge over here. I love these new in colors. They're really pretty. I was kind of shocked when I did the sweet sugar plum. When I put it on the paper and sponged it, it was such a pretty pink. It was so much lighter than I had expected it to. And I only used a tiny bit of Flirty Flamingo in this card. And I expected that to be my primary pink for this card, but I was a little bit off there. Okay, so that's what I've got my peach for now. I'm going to leave it like that. And then over here, you can see we have a section of denim that comes down and Flirty Flamingo. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to skip over here to this corner and do the Flirty Flamingo. Again, I'm moving it to a different section. Hopefully you'll be able to see it. Let me move this up a little bit. You can see the difference in the two colors. I mean, they're kind of close when they're sponged, but this one is really, really light. But this is a nice rosy color. I really love that color. And on this one, I am just going to add that little bit just as my guide, because the rest of it is going to be the denim. And then you can come back in and add a little bit more. It helps to blend the colors together. So we have a whole lot of denim coming into here. And up here, I should have a section of sweet sugar plum. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add that next. You can see I kind of turn my paper quite a bit during this process. Again, starting off on the grid paper or whatever paper you use. I still get ink on my hands using my sponge like this, but I actually like it because it gives me something to hold on to. And I just keep them all in a little container, and that way I am not throwing them away. When I first started stamping, I was throwing them away all the time. I tried to rinse them out, and that didn't work out too well for me because I never remembered what color it was, because still it stains a little bit. So this is working out really well for me. I found a little container on Amazon that holds all of our colors, and I can share that with you if you'd like. Just leave me a comment and I'll post a link for it. And you can see I'm going to go over this peach a little bit here to try to blend that. And you can see it's kind of blending, makes its own color together when they're blended. Sponging is so relaxing. I can just sit here and do it all day long. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and start bringing in that blue. And you can see we're ready for the blue. We've got, it's pretty much to the template. Doesn't have to be exact, but it'll give you the effect you want for the card. And we're going to definitely have to go back in and add more color. So now I'm going to work with the denim, and I need to move to a new spot because there's quite a bit. So I'm going to start it up here. See all that streaks? That would be on your card if you just went right to town on your card. And to me, this is where the card really starts to come to life when you add this blue. One of my classes that I taught, I did a sponging class, and it was really fun. One of my downline was here from New York, and she was helping me with my class, and we made some beautiful cards. We did sunsets, and we did a reflection card, and a few others, which I can't remember. It's been a little bit since we did that, but oh, you see I went on there too fast, so I've got a little bit of streaking on my card. But when I come in and I add more dark to it, it should even out a little bit. But that's what you get if you don't pay attention and you just go right to town, which I was talking and trying to think of that class, and I didn't pay attention. So I'm going to try to keep that pretty consistent just to kind of make it look like it was on purpose. The good thing about sponging is there you can pretty much cover up your mistakes. You can make it look like that's the way you wanted it to be. And we do have an overlay on this, so for our greeting. And then we're going to be stamping on top of this. And I want my blue to be kind of dramatic. You don't have to pay a lot of attention to this middle part right here because it will be covered up. But if you're like me, when I get a card in the mail, I pretty much inspect the whole thing just because I want to see how it was made. So I'm looking under it, looking under the dimensionals, and just kind of want to see what the person did to make that card. So I try to cover it all, just in case there's somebody out there who gets a card and wants to kind of evaluate it to see if they could make it too. And I know it's unfinished under there, so I just can't send it out like that. Okay, so now I'm just coming back in here and I'm adding more color to try to blend things together. And you can see I'm kind of going over the peach. We kind of have a valley of peach right there. And I'm actually pretty happy with that. I might take the sugar plum a little bit here and bring it over the two colors on the side. I think this sugar plum and that denim actually would be beautiful in a sunset. Okay, and you can see my hands are really inky. I apparently was sticking my finger right in the ink pad as well. And I didn't think to put any wipes over here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close up this ink. We've got, well, before I do that, you're going to want to take your centerpiece and do the same thing that we just did here. So you'll have a piece of white paper, and this paper was cut at 1.5 inches by 5 1/4. So it will go straight across here, and you're going to go ahead and do the same technique using the template that I gave you earlier. And just in case you forgot, there's our template. So you're going to want to do Dapper Denim, Sweet Sugar Plum, Dapper Denim, Sweet Sugar Plum, and just a little bit of peach. Of course, you can change that up any way you want. And I went ahead and did that so you wouldn't have to watch me do it. So I've got that already here. And then you have a back piece, which is cut at 1 3/4 by 5 1/4. And that will be your layer for this center piece here. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and let me close up all this ink, and then we'll be working with the Memento Black. You can use our archival ink as well if you want it to be even darker. I preferred the lighter one, and we will be doing a stamp off of the Flourish on our top layer before we stamp our thank you. And I thought actually it would look really nice if it was heat embossed. But I did not do that on this card, but by all means, heat emboss all you want. It looks beautiful. Okay. So I'm going to get out the Flourish stamp. This is the stamp we'll be working with right here. It is beautiful. We actually have a framelit that cuts this out as well. But today we're just going to work with the stamp. And then we're working with the black Memento ink. And this stamp is kind of big, so what I suggest you do is take your ink to the stamp. You're just going to want to tap it over. This helps you make sure you get full coverage instead of taking the stamp this way. Take the ink to the stamp. I do that on all the larger stamps. Okay, so we're going to stamp full strength on this, and there's no right or wrong way. I just kind of went off at an angle. Let's see here. I'm going to go like that. And again, remember the middle, you can't see it. And we have that. And now when you do a stamp off like this, you see those lines right here. You can see the ink that didn't get used. If you just go ahead and re-ink, you're going to have uneven ink. So what I suggest you do is you stamp off on your paper, and then that goes away. Go ahead and re-ink. Okay, and then I'm going to come over here, and I'm going to bring this down like this, and just oh, it's so pretty. I really love this stamp. I have a feeling I'm going to use it quite a bit. So we're going to do this 4 times in each corner, basically. I'm going to come down here. And keep in mind what they're going to see on the card is basically just the top and the bottom. Almost forgot to stamp off that time. And just turn it however you like. Oh, it's so pretty. This would look good in any of our colors, I think. I just wanted to use the new in colors because I'm so in love with them. Okay, and before we put the stamp away, we're going to go ahead and set this aside, and then you're going to work with your top piece. Now, on the top piece, we're going to have a few things going on here. And I went ahead and I cut them out ahead of time so I wouldn't have to pull the big shot out over here. But we're going to use this leaf that is from the Flourishing Phrases bundle. We're going to use this flower. And then we're going to use this tiny little flower here. And I went ahead and I cut those already, like I said. And I cut those in the new Emerald Envy. So I've got that. Then this one is Flirty Flamingo, which I need to pop that out real quick. Like I said, I used that new plate. I couldn't believe it. I hit it with the brush after I took it off the big shot, and this one just popped out. I didn't even roll the brush. I just barely set it on there and it popped out. It was great. And then we have this little tiny flower here, and this is in Peekaboo Peach. And we're going to be layering those. So basically, the way I did it is I came over here to this pink area, and you're going to lay it out. You just want a little bit of room for the flower so it's not hanging off, and just kind of get an idea. So this will help you know where to put your flourish. See, I've got just a tiny bit of room there, so I'm going to actually come over. And then there. So you know that your flourish should come to about right here. So what I'm going to do is, see my grid paper here, I'm going to use the center line as my guide so that I want my flower to come to right about there. So I know that, and I'm going to go ahead and move this aside. And thankfully with this mat that I have these magnets, so I'm going to go ahead and put a magnet down so that it does not move. This helps me so much. And I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ink up. And we are going to stamp off twice before hitting this paper. So that's just press down once and go to another spot and press down again. And then you've got just enough ink on there to make it like a very faint background. And this was actually, I was having a hard time getting this face of this card together, and I was on Google Hangouts with Natasha, and she's like, why don't you try a stamp off of that flourish? So I did, and as always, she has great advice for me. She's such a wonderful friend and a wonderful downline. Okay, so here we go. I've got this flourish here, and I am ready to go. So before I move it, I'm going to go ahead and stamp my thank you. I used, on my original one, I used the Misty stamping tool, and I just did it like 4 different times just to get it really nice and dark. But for the sake of the video, I'm just going to do it once, and I need to make sure I know where to go here. I have to look at an angle because of where my phone is for this video. So I'm going to use Memento Black, and like I said, you could emboss this. It would make it a little more bold. I'm going to stand up for this one, get this straight, and I'm going to go ahead and overlay this here. Hopefully I get this one straight. And it's not as dark as my original because I didn't use the Misty, but if you have the Misty stamping tool, you can use that. Or there's some videos out there where you could use a Stampin' Up! Stamp case and some foam and make your own little stamping tool. That'll help you keep it in place. Or we have the Stamp-A-Majig, which is wonderful for this as well. So you've got your saying on there, and now it's time to put the flowers on. I do this before the layering, before I put it on the back piece. So what I did here is I just kind of, you want to stay on the paper, so this part is going to come up, and you can see you have these 2 points right here. What I did is I put a glue dot under each one. So I'm going to go ahead and put glue dots down. And I'm going to roll them just a tiny bit there so that they don't show. My hands are shaking a little bit. I need to eat lunch. Hadn't done that yet. And here we go. I'll go ahead and lift my magnet. I use those magnets all the time. And I'm just going to put that down like that. Okay, so then the next step, we are going to be covering the center here. So I'm going to go ahead and snip off a little piece of Stampin' Dimensional that I can use behind there. And I'm just going to put it right smack in the middle. And you just want to place it however you want it here. This would look good with so many different things, and actually I think I did not get my dimensional piece big enough, but it should still be okay. You can pop a glue dot up under there if you want. If you roll them, they're kind of thick. There we go. Okay, and then on this one I did a glue dot. It fits perfectly in there. And you can see it, but we're going to cover that up. The new enamel dots in the new in colors is what I use. So I use the sugar plum in the middle of my flower, and I use this large one right here. And there we go. Can't even tell all that's under there. So then you have your card top layer. I'm going to go ahead and put it on this paper, which I think I mentioned before. This is 1 3/4, and this one is 1 1/2. Just kind of center that on your layer. And there we go. And we will be popping this up with glue dots, with dimensionals. So I'm going to go ahead and put those on there. And I did, oh, I need a new sheet. I should have thought of that. I actually have them right here. So we're going to break in a new sheet. And then I put 2 in the middle. I know it's a little bit much, and you really don't need all of these, but I like to make sure that it doesn't collapse in the middle. So just leave those backs on there and set that aside. And then we're going to bring in our card face that we worked on. And then our base is 8 1/2 by 5 1/2, and it is scored at 4 1/4. So let's go ahead and put that on. And I actually forgot to do the inside piece, which we'll do next. And this is just on here flat. I didn't pop it up or anything, so go ahead and glue that down. There we go. And then go ahead and take off your backs to your dimensionals. any fingernails. All this crafting has destroyed them. So then you just pick a spot where you want to have this. And I think that looks about good. There you go. And then for the inside, I just wanted to have a white piece of paper and a Flourish stamped on it. So that's what I put on the inside. I could show you. And I just did that, so that leaves you somewhere to write. But you could put a saying in here, or you could even do some subtle sponging and a flourish to help it look a little bit more finished. So I'm going to go ahead and put that flourish on there. And then I added Wayt Stella to the front of the flowers and then on some of the little scallops. And I'll show you, I love that product. I just can't get enough of it. I'm glad that it went into our new catalog this year. That made me very happy. There we go. I always like to stamp the inside of my cards. It makes them look a little more finished. And if you're not going to put a saying in there, it's not just a white piece of paper. And you could also put a piece of DSP in there to help it look a little more finished. Okay, so I'm just going to add this real quick. There we go. Okay, so for the Wayt Stella, I went and I added it to our flowers here. And when you just look at the picture of the card, you can't really see it, but the person getting it will see it. Just adds a little something to it. And I used the clear one. And these little scallops here are what I was talking about that I did. I did all of those. This stuff is so pretty. Okay, got a little bit of a flower here. A scallop. Actually, I think I put my paper on different. I just noticed that I put the paper on in a different angle than I did the first one. So my whole theory of having all the cards the same, well, that's blown. I guess I just need to get over it. It's handmade, right? I actually like how it looks, though. It's very pretty. Okay, I think I got them all. And that is it for this tutorial. I hope you like it, and if you have any questions, please feel free to leave me a comment and I'll get back to you. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great day.